Well, thanks for having me. I decided about 10 minutes ago to have this sinus thing going on. So I can't hear and I feel like I'm talking in a cave. So if I yell, I have plants over here who are going to say, calm down. My name is Ron Brumbarger, and I'm excited to be here. I've enjoyed getting to know Tony and split for a little bit while I've been here. And come on, laptop. One way to start. There we go. All right, make sure this works. Okay. So the QR code here on the front is to download this slide deck. There's one on the end as well. So you actually have homework tonight. I know. You didn't come here to do homework. Everybody has a phone. So as I'm talking, what I'd like you to do is not be checking your mail or texting your friends. Don't do that. But I would really like it if you hear something I say about the work that I've been doing for the last 10 and a half years, just write it down. Take a note, okay? It's a way that I can kind of leave some ideas behind that might help you, might help split your community, etc. So I'm going to talk about Apprentice University. Everybody understands what apprenticeships are. It's not an internship. We think those are kind of cute, but not serious. An apprenticeship, you appreciate this from Austria, an apprenticeship is a very intentional, let me get this to slide mode. Oh, that's what we got. It's a very intentional way to help people learn and grow professionally. And so I'm going to tell you a little bit about the story. That's the front of our building. It's not a big campus. We are a university. And yes, many people look at me and say, you started a university? Well, no one said I couldn't, so I did it anyway. But you'll hear why in just a minute. And so my hope is during my talk that there are a few tips through here that you can use, that you can take, and that you can keep around here and put them to work. My contact information's on the last slide, and you download the slides and find me. And I'd be glad and honored to try to help you with any of the ideas that you might hear. So this is me. You can't tell that ugly mug. I started Apprentice University in 2013 after several years of struggling trying to find people for my technology firm. So I owned a web development firm that I started in 1993. Raise your hand if you were not yet born. You don't have to do that. Okay, most of you were not yet born. That's great. But I started a web development firm in 1993, and I sold it 5 years ago. But for many, many years, we could not find people. Try as we might, we could not find people. We would try and try and try, interview after interview after interview. And it became very frustrating to the point where we kind of stopped. And I decided if we're going to thrive and grow as a firm, we're going to have to grow our own talent. We're going to have to build our own people. In 2016, we literally were walking away from contracts. We're about a 30-person firm at the time, and we literally were saying, we can't do the work. We're sorry. Even though the client was ready to sign the contract. We were a firm a lot like Locastic, by the way, very similar. In the services that we did, but we finally just said, we can't do the work, we have to leave. Sorry to do this. And of course, no one wants to hear that after you've spent months and months and months working to get that relationship built. So, what is Apprentice University? So we're all about skills. Skills are the marketable thing that businesses want to know about today. They want to know, can you do this work? And your skills demonstrate that work that you can do. Okay, we're a three-year program where we equip students for high-demand careers, just like those that are here at this firm, and probably many of your businesses as well. And our goal is to prepare young adults to thrive in what we call a VUCA environment. Anybody familiar with the acronym VUCA? You know about VUCA? Yeah? It's kind of this crazy term that came out of the U.S. Army War College after the collapse of the Soviet Union. They said, you know, we used to have an enemy, and now all of a sudden, everything's kind of crazy. People are scattered everywhere, and people that used to like us don't, and those that don't have people that don't like us too. It became very, very difficult, but it stands for volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. Sound like today's world? So we live in a VUCA environment. So how can we possibly prepare talent if we don't observe the fact that we're in an environment that is highly complex and highly unpredictable? So the VUCA environment. So we sail right into it. We say, you know what, we can do this. We can rise to this challenge, and we can prepare students to thrive in this kind of an environment. So the problems we're solving, most of the time when you ask a company, what problem are you solving, they have one, maybe two. We have a lot because it's the educational world. The problems we're solving is that not only us, but many of our friends were walking away from business too. They had capped out on their growth because they just couldn't find enough people to get the work done. Now these numbers are in US dollars, so hopefully you can translate this. But we had new grads walking out of a university, so they're 21, 22 years old, thinking they should make $120,000 a year. And I don't know how that translates here in Croatia, but that's crazy money, and it's just not acceptable. But it was very common. Not only that, but they want to work remotely from the onset, 3 days a week. Am I right? You're nodding your head. Am I right? Yeah, absolutely. So we're trying to solve that problem. And we're also working with young adults to try to instill into them the idea of figure it out. Figure it out. In a VUCA world, the knowledge that you need is going to have to be discovered. You're not going to get it from a university. You're not going to get it from a textbook. You're going to have to figure it out. A lot like an American with a rental car in Zadar. Okay? Really hard, figure it out. That's just the way it works. But we also know that today there is this propensity for people to say, well, just tell me what to do next. Fair? Just tell me what to do next. So there's not a lot of self-initiation. And staff shortages, businesses around here suffering from shortage of talent. Yeah. Staff shortages are causing significant employee burnout. So that's the problem we're trying to solve. So if this sounds a little like Split, a little like Croatia, probably common, probably similar. So a reminder, as I go through the next few slides, this won't take very long, what I hope is that you'll take down some ideas and go, hey, I'd like to explore that. And when we're done, I'm going to ask each of you to give me your top idea that you heard and how you might use it here. We'll go really fast, kind of a popcorn moment, right? We like the idea of mindsets. We think that mindsets are a great way to kind of frame how you think and how you study and how you learn. And so we build around these four mindsets of innovation. We teach innovation as core and integral to everything that we do. We teach entrepreneurship. It's a hard class that lasts a full year, and it's capped off by a business plan presentation at the end. Called Sweat Tank, by the way. Does that term translate okay? Yeah, it's disgusting, I know. We also believe and practice creative problem solving. We have methodologies that we teach our students and our corporate partners that work with us in how to solve problems. Not just, let's go brainstorm on this, but how do we instigate or how do we instill creative problem solving knowledge and processes into young adults so they can go deploy those skills when they need on the job. And my most favorite, mentoring. At Apprentice University, you are both mentoring somebody and being mentored, everyone. Anybody here serve as a mentor for anyone? Yeah, good. Good. How intentional are you about it? Very good.
I'm basically the QA team place. And mentoring my team, I see myself, my leadership skills are basically only visible through the success of my team.
Right.
So if my team is successful, if my team is functioning, not stressed, doing well, efficient, then I'm a good team lead.
Yeah.
Not if I'm standing in front of them or behind them and
Right, right.
saying, yeah, do your job.
We actually created a program called Mentor School, which was to help people be intentional about mentoring and how to enter into mentoring relationships. Now, in the U.S., the English language is limited in this particular area. I don't know about Croatian version of this, but in the U.S., what we talk about with mentoring relationships is it's an intimate relationship. An intimate relationship. So it's very sober and it's very serious. Not intimate as in sex, that's not my point. But it's an intimate relationship that you're entering into with somebody to help them, coach them, and grow them. Okay?
It has to be trust on both sides.
Has to be trust.
Basically.
Without trust, don't even start.
Exactly.
Don't even start. Absolutely.
Trust is the foundation, I would say.
Absolutely. So those are the 4 mindsets that we talk about. We could spend all night talking about these because they're my favorites. So our solution that we bring to the table for our students is creative problem-solving skills and methodologies. We train on that. We actually took on an unsolved homicide, a cold case. Yeah, fun. And we're using our creative problem-solving and innovation skills to help discover who did it. Okay? We worry about and think a lot about innovation and creativity, and we teach how to be creative, not just let's go be creative. We teach how to be creative. And we do a lot of work in design thinking. Is design thinking a common term around here? Yeah? You guys using design thinking? Okay. You never know. Sometimes it's popular, sometimes it's not. And we think a lot about this own it attitude. Own it attitude. And I like to tell people, so you're faced with a situation and it needs to be solved. If not you, who? If not now, when? Oh, really? Now I got to go fix it. So if you're not going to own it, who will? And if it's not going to happen now, when will it happen? And we also practice communication skills. We're very serious about communications. Now we have fun too, don't get me wrong. But when it's time to practice communication skills, we're very sober about how that works. Of course, we use all the technology, and we also train in emotional intelligence. These are the attributes that we bring up young adults in. And we also understand and are serious about, kind of to your point, teaching young adults how to either lead a team or be a team member, and when to be one or the other. And the last thing we practice is expectation management. The idea that you anticipate something's going to occur and you try to over-communicate that status to other people so that they're not wondering what's happening on the back end. So why do I go through this list before I go forward? Why do I go through this list? My hope is you see a nugget here and you say, we could do that in our business. By the way, I don't have all the answers. I don't have all the answers. I used to have hair before I started Apprentice University 10 years ago. And if you're doing the math, I was running both Apprentice University and Bitwise Solutions, the web development firm, for 5 years at the same time. So I had 2 full-time jobs, and I really didn't have hair after the end of that. But my hope is that you take a piece out of this that you can use in your business, and we can explore it after our talk. So we talk about being market designed, market driven, market accredited, market embraced, and skills acquired. That's kind of our attitude. So how do we answer the VUCA challenge? Well, our academics are different. Our academics are different than probably most of you have gone through, certainly different than what I went through when I was in college. They're very hands-on, skills-based courses. We don't do tests and grades. We don't understand credits. We don't work in that environment. When was the last time, besides COVID, the last time anybody took a test as a professional? Doesn't happen. You either can do the work through mastery of skills or you can't. So our classes are very different. Our classes are always led by professionals. So we're very intentional about bringing professionals in that teach classes. So that we had a CPA, accountant, teach our class on accounting. We had a guy who teaches economics and is an economist for a local business come in and teach economics, rather than somebody who's a professor, anybody who's higher ed, sorry, no offense, but we had practicing professionals teaching the body of knowledge. Our classes are always ended by a capstone project. So there's a capstone project. Think of it as kind of a master's thesis almost, that represents the body of knowledge that you went through, that you experienced during the course of the class, and you present that which you learned when it's over. And on the right side of this slide, these are the certificates that we issue to our students. Now we use badges. Anybody here familiar with digital badging? So you know about badging? Yeah? Anybody else? Yeah? It's a nano credential, or the different labels, but it's a nano credential, and we have a database of about 225 badges that we use. Now, again, this isn't to promote Apprentice University to you. The idea here is that you can steal this and say, we could do badges at our business. We could do badges in QC in our work, certain levels of proficiency. And it's a way to recognize performance and accomplishments from your team. So those are the certificates that we issue. So we don't offer degrees, we're issuing certificates. So they're very much industry-focused certificates, and each certificate has badges underneath it. So for example, the innovation certificate, my favorite. The innovation certificate has about 24 badges that you have to earn in order to earn that certificate. Why would I bring that here? Why? Because you could do that in your firm. What would that do for employee loyalty? What would it do to somebody who is a lifelong learner that wants to continue to grow and develop their skills if they know that you've created this program that once they start, they can keep earning new badges and getting new certificates, especially when you're dealing in technical kinds of careers. They can keep growing with you over time. Now this is a crazy thing. This is what we call our foundations certificate. And up here you can see this is professional skills. These are just badges. These are the badges out here that we issue to students. And they're different colors. They're kind of related badges or collections of badges. So this gives you an idea of some of the titles that we use. Now again, how can you use this in your business? How can you take this model of badging and apply it to your business? We're almost done. We'll get to questions. I mentioned a minute ago Mentor School. We're very serious about mentoring, and the idea is that you're making that investment. But here's the thing. We like this phrase that when one teaches to learn. You're a coach. You, I bet, love learning. So you get to teach, and when you're teaching or coaching, you also get to learn. Something special, especially if it's something new, if it's a new topic to you, you can grow in that area if you have to explain it to someone. Nothing forces you to understand a topic like having to explain it to somebody else, right? You're shaking your head, yeah, absolutely. So we created Mentor School. Again, how can you apply this in your business? This isn't to export Apprentice University to Split, but how could you create a very deliberate mentoring program? And then, of course, we have apprenticeships. Now, I don't know how the technicalities work here around high school graduates and college programs and so forth. That's not my forte by any means. But the idea is you could create apprenticeships within your own firm. You could bring people in who want to be in the technology career field, if you're Salocastic, for example, or whatever your business might be, and say, hey, we will train you over time. We will help you gain the skills you need to have. In the US, we're a bit biased, but we compete against what we call legacy universities. A legacy university is, pick anything that calls themselves EDU. Okay, and I don't know about here, but that is kind of our competition because they're teaching from textbooks, they're giving tests, and it's not about skills necessarily. Their work is about tests and grades. Now, how do we do this? We use corporate partners. Our corporate partners are businesses who've said, we're short on talent, we want to learn, we want to mentor, we love what you're doing. We have about 24 of those, and we love to help. We love to have students come in, work in our offices 4 days a week, and grow with us so we can help them grow and we grow along with them at the same time. By the way, our students get paid. They earn, on average, about 1.6 times their tuition each month. In the U.S., tuition is not free. I don't know about Croatia, with higher ed tuition, but in the U.S., higher ed's fairly expensive. But at Apprentice University, our students pay tuition, got to have a little skin in the game, but they also earn about 1.5 to 2 times more than the cost of their tuition each month. And I'm going to scroll by this, and there you go. That's my talk. So if you want to download this, feel free. You can have it. You can have anything in here you want. I would love to hear what ideas you took from this that you might be able to apply to your business or to the community here at Split. Or did I leave you totally perplexed? You look like you're going to throw a chair at me or something. Are you okay?
Yeah, I was thinking. I have a question.
Please, fire away.
So, what would you say is a key indicator of a person ready for a VUCA environment that didn't get the mentorship and apprenticeship?
Wow. So, what's an indicator?
Yeah, let's say someone from a rural environment, from farm, that worked their whole life in comparison to someone in a big city.
Right. So let me restate your question, okay? What are the attributes of a person who's prepared for a VUCA environment, who didn't get maybe a more formal education or something? Is that what you're saying? Is that okay? Close?
Yeah, that's good.
English to English translation's a little rough sometimes. First, humility. Humility, humility, humility. Anybody ever work with somebody that has all the answers? How many times a day do you want to choke them? You're shaking your head all day long, right? They have all the answers. You think, are you really just ChatGPT and nobody knew it? Because you know everything.
They're just acting. They don't have answers.
Yeah.
They're just acting.
Yeah. So to your question, I think first, humility. You can't learn if you believe you know everything. So humility would be the first character trait I would look for. Second character trait I would look for is an appetite to learn and gain knowledge and skills. Insatiable, do you understand the word insatiable? An insatiable appetite to grow. And I think that's key. And the third one would be that they have a broad mind about learning a variety of topics. And the fourth point would be that they like failure. Does anybody here like failing? Yeah, it's okay, right? It's okay. How else do we learn? You've heard the quote allegedly attributed to Thomas Edison. Do you know this? Do you know this quote? I didn't fail making a light bulb 999 times. I found 999 ways not to make it. The theory is that on his 1,000th attempt, I don't know if this is true or not, but on the 1,000th attempt, he actually made the light bulb. So those are the 4 attributes: humility, willingness to learn, insatiable appetite, and an okay mindset to fail. Failure is good. That's how we learn. Thank you for the question. Other questions, please.
Did you say that your student they should make money each month?
Yeah, so our students are employees. So we look like a staffing firm. Does that term translate? So professional services staffing firm. We look a little bit like a staffing firm where our students are actually getting paid and they go work with our corporate partners and they're on our payroll while they're doing that. So they're both working and a student at the same time, enrolled and employed at the same time.
But to get started, you don't need to have like skills ready. You just need to, what you said, want to learn.
Oh man, yeah, that's the hard part. That's the hard part. You got to know how to ride a bike, right, before we're going to put you out there. What we found was that in recent years, the readiness of students was not where we needed it to be. So we introduced a 1-year program called orienteering. Anybody know the term orienteering? It's a Swedish sport. It's a lot like figuring out how to start your career. You're given a map and a compass and you're dropped in the middle of the woods and you got to figure out where to go next. So we created a 1-year program that had all of these badges have to be earned by students before they graduate in 1 year.
And then they can start.
And then they become an apprentice and they start getting paid. What we discovered was that the readiness of a typical high school graduate and the stress that they felt just plunging into the workplace without this 1-year kind of ramp to get up to speed was just too much.
So high school graduates, 18-year-olds.
Yeah, plus or minus, yeah. Yeah, but this is hard work, by the way. Taking an 18-year-old who might like to sleep in, likes gaming, who knows whatever else, like hanging out, not quite ready, not quite sure what they want to do, and dropping them into a professional workplace, turns out that's hard work, by the way. That's really hard work. Other questions? So I'm going to come back to you in just a minute because we're coming up at the end of our time here. I'd like to know what items did you hear that you can apply to your business and or your community. What crazy ideas? They imported this crazy guy from the U.S. to come here and talk about starting a university. The story is I couldn't find people for Bitwise. You heard that. And so I overcorrected and started a university to solve it. Why not? So yes, what can you apply?
I just want to make something clear. So someone came from college to you to learn some soft skills, or like someone with no skills came to you to learn, I don't know,
Both.
website design?
Both. Both high school students,
So
post-high school, as well as students who graduated from college, or students that have been 1 or 2 years in a legacy university. We've had the whole gamut.
Are you providing some firms to teach their teams some skills and?
Some, yeah.
And what are the most common roles that people end up working at?
Common roles, great question, thank you. Lots of digital marketing kinds of roles. We do a lot of videography kind of work. Anything technology related, we have system administrators, IT administrators, programmers, designers, web designers, project managers, but more in a technical kind of space, business analysts using business intelligence tools, a very wide variety. Yes, please.
If someone came to you and want to learn something, but he is not talented on that. What we are doing, he cannot achieve. He cannot get some knowledge because he don't have talent to set to work. So, for example, programmer I think should know a lot about mathematics. He have to think.
Right, yeah.
But when he came to you and he don't have that kind of talent, can you teach them to program, or what are you doing?
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard.
Tell them the truth. It's not talented.
Yeah, sometimes you just got to say you're not ready for this. You're just not ready. Yeah, that's. I think that's. I think
use the word orientation.
Yeah.
We have the professional orientation stuff around, but we are not using it.
Yeah, my experience is people hear about a career, and they hear about it when they're about 16 in the U.S. I don't know. I'm going to assume it's the same here. They hear about it when they're 15 or 16 years old, and they go, "Oh, okay," and they go, "Well."
8th class of primary school.
Okay.
About 30, 40.
So they hear about a topic, they hear about a career, they go, well, that's what I'm going to be. That's what I have to do. I'm going to be a physical therapist. That's what I have to be. I'm going to pick that because then when somebody comes up to me at 16 and says, what do you want to be when you grow up? You go, physical therapist, I made the decision 2 years ago, I'm good. And they kind of stick with that and they understand that there's a wide variety of careers out there that we don't even know are going to happen yet. When you add VUCA plus AI, plus whatever other acronyms you want to throw in there, the job titles that we're talking about don't exist today. The job titles of tomorrow don't exist. So we'll tell a young person coming in who says, I want to do this as a career. We'll say, you know, could you give us a year? Explore a variety of things. Maybe you find something that you didn't know existed. Maybe that excites you better or is more exciting to you than just this that you chose 3 years ago to make the question go away.
How do you help them?
Carefully.
You are trying to get the knowledge about their talents.
Yeah.
And to make them to work.
You know, here's the thing. Here's the key. Skills acquired, whatever the job might be, the skills acquired in a professional environment are portable to any other career. So we tell them, you're going to get an apprenticeship doing this, or project assignment doing this. It may not be your dream job, but the skills that you're going to learn in communication, organization, how to use spreadsheets, how to schedule meetings, how to write emails, those skills are all portable across any career that you're going to choose. So stop worrying about a career choice for now and grow your skills first. Then you can start thinking about what career might I take on. So did anybody write down a nugget? Anybody write down an idea? You got a lot of notes. I saw you back there writing away. Am I calling you? No, you. Yeah, you. Yeah, you. What'd you write? Yeah, I watched you write, so I'm like, I'm going to pick on her when it came time for ideas.
I'm old-fashioned, so
Good. I get it.
it's a little bit hard to take pictures and try it. But okay, to answer your question, I have creative problem-solving skills and methods.
Yes.
So this is my idea that I took out of this, which
Okay.
is actually that what I'm doing. So
You do that for a job?
Yeah, I have like I'm still developing my web page. I needed to stop because of my work that I'm doing now. But I have so I wrote a book where I help people to be more creative. So it's going a little bit into the direction of creative coaching.
Yep.
It's a combination between like positive thinking. So what I found out is whenever it comes to no matter which kind of company or whatever it is, it's a mindset that the people have. So to coming back to what you told.
Yep.
And it's very negative, starting from the point I'm not good enough, blah blah blah, all those things. We are quite familiar with these topics during
Right.
the last
Right.
years. And a very important thing is, I'm an artist and I'm dancing a lot, and then people come to me like it's easy for me because I'm creative, and they tell them that you're creative too. So this is what my book is about. What I'm teaching people is that you are creative. You may not do an art, but for example, to create this template is creativity.
Sure.
And the people, it's very hard to explain what creativity really is. And the people always think that they don't have the right to name themselves as creative. So they're always searching for someone who will tell them, yes, I don't know the word now, always for approval. Yes,
Right,
you are creative,
right,
you
right.
have the right to do it, go for it. They are afraid of doing it and of just being it, and actually to then from this point on develop their business, ideas, whatever they are. It doesn't matter, it's not a question of the branch and the
Yeah.
work that they're doing.
Yeah.
So this is what I'm doing. And so it's problem solving creative methods. That's what I did, and this is what I took out of it.
Okay. Yeah. There's a whole field of study of creative problem solving.
Yeah.
Whole field of study. And don't omit my brain just stopped.
Brain freeze.
Lateral. Don't omit lateral thinking. Lateral thinking. Just write that note. You're familiar with Edward de Bono's work, lateral thinking.
What was it?
Lateral thinking.
How I write this? L-A?
Lateral. Lateral Thinking by Edward de Bono. Read his book. Anybody else take a note? What'd you take?
No, I got two questions for you. The first one is more constructive. Do you think that younger people are getting worse as employees for whatever reason? Because I'm getting that impression.
Yes.
From anyone older than
Okay, so this is being recorded. What do you think?
I got the impression, I've spent 5 years at this place where they have internships, and the newer generations are kind of reducing in quality. But
Soft.
I might just be getting old.
Well, there's that, yeah. But, yeah. I would just say it's getting harder. How's that? It's getting harder. I'll focus on the work, not the people, but it is harder and harder all the time. What was your second point?
The second question that I can't get out of my head, you said you solved a murder case, a cold murder case?
I wish I solved it.
Whose idea was that, and like why, and like oh my God.
Because I love creative problem solving and I love innovation skills. And I'm good friends with the Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Department. Not because I've been a customer of theirs, for the record. They're just good friends of mine. And so I know their top brass pretty well. And 4 years ago, myself and one of our students went to them and said, hey, we'd like to try our problem solving skills on a cold case homicide. And they said, here's the box of evidence, go for it. And I had to sign chain of custody. I had the box with all the evidence on a then 15-year-old case. We just took on a new one back in April of this year, a 25-year-old case. It's huge. There's so many people involved in this. And we're actually using AI to help us keep track of all the actors in this scheme. So that's what we're working on. I wish we solved it. The first one, we were this close to finding this guy. We were so close. And then you might have heard about it. COVID hit. And everybody stopped doing everything. And it got kind of backburnered. But we were just, I know who did it. I know where he works. I know what his name is. I mean, I know everything about this guy. I could find him in a crowd. But the new one that we're working on, sorry to digress for 1 second. So we're working through all this material, and there's huge boxes of evidence, huge boxes of material. And we're scanning it and reading it, and it's a lot of work. I can't tell you all that it wouldn't matter if you're not in the U.S. anyway, but anyway, so reading through all this material, and we come down to this one guy, and his name is Michael. And I'm like, he is in every one of these interviews. This guy keeps showing up. He was at the scene, at that day, at that time, and he's just a bad actor. He's a really bad guy. And then I'm thinking, we found this in 6 weeks. How is it the professionals at the police department didn't find this after 25 years? There's no way. So I called my buddy, who's the commander in charge of homicide, and Roger, how did you overlook Michael? He goes, you know there are 3 Michaels. I'm like, no! How can there be 3? You've got to be kidding me. You haven't finished the other ones yet. He goes, yeah, we thought so too, but you're not there done. You're not done. Talk about frustrating. Yeah. Sorry to digress, but...
Well, these budgets idea, it seems very interesting, but you said, I mean, how do you award these budgets? Because you said you don't want to have exams or tests, but yet you want to award budgets. So how does that...
Badges, okay.
Yeah.
Sure. Great question. So each of our badges has a rubric behind it. Are you familiar with the term rubric? It basically says these are the things you have to demonstrate that you know how to do. And the rubric for each badge might be 10, 15, 20 line items that says when you've demonstrated you can do all of these items, we issue the badge.
Demonstrate how, like programming or do something?
Could be any topic. Could be a podcast. Could be, we have a badge for drone operating, to operate drones, because we can. So once you demonstrate all that criteria, then we issue the badge. But here's the thing, if you walked in today, if this was Apprentice University, and you've used Excel, I would assume, and you walked in today and you see the Excel rubric and you say, I can do 90% of that in the next hour. Like, fine. Or you could say, here's my worksheets I've already completed that map to this rubric. And we say, well, okay, here's your badge. You don't have to go sit through an exam to get the badge. If your work product already completes the rubric, why wouldn't we just say, okay? We're running out of time. A few of you haven't spoken, please.
Yeah, I just want to say the word was permission. Yeah, so the people are always like searching for permission to be creative. So if they don't get it, they are not creative.
You know, there's a competing word with permission called agency. Are you familiar with the term agency as it's applied? That you have agency. You have, as a person, you have agency to operate autonomously.
Free will.
Free will, yeah. You have agency to do this. And when I talk about agency with students, I talk about, how do you grow your agency? And I don't mean agency as in a firm like this. I'm talking about your personal growth. You have agency. You have permission to explore, fail, explore more, fail more. You have agency. You have permission to do that. We all have innovative streaks and creativity in us. It's just, are we tapping it and using it to the fullest capability? Over here, any other questions? What else did you take away?
Communication is very, very...
Communications, yeah.
Very, very...
Communications. We talk about...
communication, especially.
Yeah, we talk about expectation management a lot. If you're in any kind of a project management role, if you're not overtly studying and practicing and leaning into expectation management, you're missing out. Anybody else? Yes, please.
If you went back in time and didn't open up Apprentice University,
Yeah.
How would you implement apprenticeship into your firm?
Wow. We kind of did it prior to Apprentice University. We had a program called Bitwise Fellows, and they're high school students. And we were a pretty high-end firm, and we would get requests to build smaller websites like a church or a club or a dog bakery, the people that made dog food and stuff. And they had a little bit of money to spend, not much money. We couldn't serve those needs. They're too small. A couple times we packaged that business up and we gave it away to other companies that were just starting up in the web development firm. And then a few years later, we turned around and they're competitors. I'm like, okay, we're not doing that anymore. Let's stop doing that. So I decided to hire high school students to come in and run their own business within our firm. So Bitwise Fellows, and they were all high school students. When they graduated high school, they were fired. That was it. We had a president, they had a project manager and a designer. They had programmers on board. They had sales team on board. At one time, I think there were 12 or 13 students that they had their own work, and they got paid, and they had their own profit and loss statement. Now they kind of made a little money, kind of not, but it wasn't, the losses weren't significant for us to worry about. But it was nice when we had little projects that would come in, we would say, you know what, we can't take this on, but we've got a team over here that can. And from that, we hired them into the big leagues part of our firm. And that was kind of the genesis. That's been a long time ago. That was kind of the genesis of why I started, or the idea that kind of spawned Apprentice University.
And how many students do you take every?
Through Bitwise Fellows, Apprentice University. I don't know the number this fall. I think it's probably 25 maybe or so. Last year it was about 35 or 36 students. Small, please.
Yeah. How do you teach or train your students when they face concurrency, or that even someone is better than they are and that's what they're doing? So how do you train them in that moment?
Well, it starts with humility. You're not the smartest person in the room, despite what you think. And if you think you are, no one wants to know that you are. So it starts with humility. There's somebody in the room that's smarter than you about whatever topic it is that is being discussed. So that's part one. And we work on character. We work on character a lot. We train on it. I wrote a book about it, so you can find that, but I wrote a lot about character. Yeah, what's your question? Go ahead.
I have a thought. I ask myself if the school system is prepared for the co-work, because I think that we lose a lot of creative young people through this whole system. I was working with young people age 15, 16, and they work at schools, and they work in tech schools, but they have a lot of things to learn, and that they have a special interest. And these schools that don't teach the young people what they have to know when they would love to work in tech companies. And so I think this is a big issue with the school system. I know school system is a big issue.
Right.
I just ask myself, how can we, because a lot of, especially young boys, they told me, I love to do this, and it is especially like programming, or they would love to program games.
Right.
I mean, there is motivation, but then they stay 2-3 years at home because they drop out of school, and that's what I do. So I think we lose, because of the school system, a lot of talented young people.
Yeah,
Maybe
because it's...
Maybe you should start also working with younger people.
Yeah. For sure, because the legacy universities are meant to scale. So the Purdue University near my home in Indiana, they have a freshman calculus class that has 800 students in it. It's this massive room. Well, it's meant for scale. And so you have to comply. You have to kind of stay in that trough and those guidelines, and God forbid you do this, you don't fit. So you have to, it doesn't scale when you change. They're built for scale, rather. So that's the challenge, but everybody has to kind of conform to that in order to get through the required classes. It's hard, but I agree. Innovation and creativity gets kind of boiled out. How we doing, Tony? We still got questions coming.
I mean, I think people are hungry, so we can go to
Sure. I don't want to keep you guys here all night. Any last question before we break up? Yes, sir. How am I doing? I'm doing great. I can hear it again all of a sudden. My hearing went away a little bit ago. I'm doing great, thank you. I appreciate being here and appreciate you guys coming out. I hope I hope this spurred an idea or two for you and how you might do something in your firm, whether you go so crazy as to start a university to help solve your talent problems, or if there's just a piece in here that you can take away. If there's anything in here you need or you want to know more about, just tell me. I'm happy to help you do whatever it is. There you go. Thank you. Thank you. There you go.